Well, let's be honest. The purpose of a man's first date in most cases is to establish a closer contact, because before you went on a personal meeting, you've somehow already communicated, and he was like, interesting woman, I should understand what she is in life. Serious or more for easy communication. And you, my dear, it's the other way around. You're thinking, oh my God, my goodness, hedgehogs, what's his last name? What if I wear it? You've probably already thought of names for the children you're sharing, tried on a veil and divorced him just in case, clawing back half your assets. Basically, you're going into this meeting with different agendas. You're anxious and he's anxious. He's thinking, how will she react? Oh my God, will he not call me after this? Anyway, to make sure that everything goes well and this first date doesn't become the only one, how to behave and what to do, I'll tell you in this video. Well, let's be honest. A first date is nothing more than a couple hours, and that's a straight good amount of time in the company of someone you don't really know. What it's going to lead to and where it's going to go, neither you nor him know. I can ironize endlessly that he, of course, wants to fail you and you marry him. But in fact, neither you nor he state exam now do not pass, and excessive tension will only hurt. Your communication will not be about pleasure, and you will not want to meet again, neither to continue nor to repeat. Often a woman, having communicated for a long time on a dating site, meticulously flips through the profiles. A man can also be disappointed. It's always the same. They only come to eat. I'm tired of spending money on driving them to restaurants, and no one is going to walk in parks. That is, when you go to that first meeting, you have already formed some kind of opinion about the person, and they have formed an opinion about you in the same way. You come to the meeting with a projection of the person, he with a projection of you. The most amusing thing is that you adjust your behaviour to this projection. You think that he is like this, and you adjust your behaviour to a woman who might like such a man. The man in turn has a projection of you and is adjusting his behaviour to that projection. There is neither you nor him in this. Therefore, often the first dates end unsuccessfully. Not having started because you look not at him and he looks not at you. Such tension and desire to impress leads to the fact that you are not manifested and the man also did not recognise. Therefore the date went something. Was it good for you? Then come out of it. So the colour of his eyes, so paid kind of not embarrassed, but I kind of modestly behaved and the check was not very high. Oh well, I'm not drunk. No, I think it's fine. I've been acting like an idiot. It's okay, even if you did, let it be. What is called the goods face all my life, I tiptoe, not just, and as if to say goodbye to a good result, already disappointed in advance, on the person stigmatised, went to live their usual life. This is the scenario of the first date happens very often. I want you to tell me now in the comments and whether you agree with me and how your tension led to the fact that the first date went literally through the stump. Just share honestly, please, when you've thought of something about a person, struggled to live up to these projections of yours, and it led to some embarrassment. Oksana, tell me how to overcome this tension. You just have to remember this. Always the first interaction is one of cognitive distortion. These masks we put on each other are based on our expectations. I expect the person to turn out like this, and if they turn out like this, I'll be like this. Because even in a relationship, we don't love other people exactly. We love ourselves around them. A first date is a training run. What do I want? What do I want to be? And what kind of person do I need for that? It's quite a philosophical story, but still, once again, I ask everyone to keep in mind that you don't see the person directly, and to see them, you have to remember that the person in front of you is more of a projection of your expectations than the person themselves. It's hard to assume you're wrong because everyone likes to be right. Just keep in mind that everything I'm observing right now is not the absolute truth. There are also taboo topics that you should not talk about at the stage of the first acquaintance: money, religion, and health. It is not necessary to arrange a man immediately targeted shooting with questions such as, how much do you earn? If I began to torture me with such questions, were you married? Do you have children? What's your child support? What is your relationship with your ex-wife? How often do you see your children? Who are your parents? What did your grandparents die of? Have you had any cancer in your family? Do you smoke? Do you drink? I would say, shouldn't you also have a urine and fecal analysis? Why don't you get out? These questions only add to the tension. It is better to choose neutral topics that reveal the person, his preferences in food, cinema, art, where he likes to go, with whom he spends quality time, how he likes to spend his leisure time, what was the last book he read and what got him hooked. Find out how he feels, why he is on a dating site, for example, and what he is looking for, what his true needs are. But don't ask about money or religion. How often you go to church, whether you do namaz, how many times a day. Questions of this kind create unnecessary tension, and if the person is also nervous, believe me, it will only make things worse. Realise that all this will become apparent a little later, without the need to dig deep right away. Talk about yourself. I am very successful, independent, I have a great career. Yes, I have many children. Or I don't have children because I chose my career. Therefore, be tactful and attentive to the interlocutor. I treat religious matters with great trepidation and respect, observe all fasts and go to the temple regularly. I have such a rhythm of life that it is impossible to take my hand without serious intentions. I am independent and I have a whole list of requirements for a man, which you know, like a scroll rolled under the table. What's a man gonna do? He'll say, let me digress. What do you want there? Sea bass? I want sea bass. To prevent that from happening, these topics on the first date are absolutely for the ox. Have you had any instances where you've been asked these uncomfortable questions? How have you responded? In fact, how do you respond? Oh look, I'm terribly rude. Even more so than the person asking me tactless questions, because I react quite sharply. If you ask me a tactless question, you can get the same tactless answer. You have to be prepared. If you're prepared, and in my sarcastic wit, I'll win. So what to talk about, you ask me? Women who have a ticking clock and who urgently need to get married. Well, first of all, pick up the guide. The link to it is located in the description of this video. The very 10 questions you should ask not on the first date, but before you fall in love. Plus, I have a video on my channel also dedicated to this topic. What to actually talk about, you can watch it too, and the link to it is also located in the description of this video. Among other things, I want to encourage you to actively listen to what I'm going to tell you, but how to listen. Because being empathic and actively listening means asking open-ended questions that imply an extended answer, attentively and inclusively. We maintain eye contact, nod actively, let them know we are included in the dialogue, listen and say, yes, how interesting, wow, when did that happen? What about you? Oh my gosh, but you were so young, how did you deal with that? What a unique, amazing story, I marvel. I don't know how I would have behaved in similar circumstances. When you let the person know that what they are telling you is interesting, and when asked, you tell them about yourself in a similarly detailed way. Storytelling skill is trainable, and it's great when you're a great storyteller, but you need to know a clear pattern for it, yes, comma. You have some sort of preamble, then plot development and conclusion, and it all has to fit into a short period of time. Start from the word when you begin and then come somewhere. If it loses the narrative thread, it just loses it. So keep your narrative brief, inclusive, without too much detail, and listen carefully to the other person. And a word of caution, if you're very tense, to relieve that tension, everyone seems to do that. You pour alcohol merrily, and there's a glass, 2, 3. You don't notice how your speech becomes much more florid, and your blush becomes indelible, and you're like, come on, man. Basically, it's not a woman, it's some sub-personality of yours that's starting to come out of you. Every woman has one, and it's in every woman, honestly. Every woman. No more than one glass, gals, and it won't let you lose your edge, but will add flavour to your dinner. Drinking for flavour here, not for that disinhibition effect that alcohol intoxication gives. This is where straight up hold your own, really. An overdrunk woman on a first date has never ended well. If spontaneous rapprochement happens, it will be quite difficult to get real pleasure. Alcohol is known to dull sensations, but to get yourself unexpected consequences has nothing to do. So let's be careful with champagne and wine. Well, and the last important thing, completing the date and leaving in your beautiful life, leave a trail of perfume. It would be nice to say, thank you for this evening. I had a really great time. You're an incredibly interesting conversationalist. And I'll tell you honestly, I wouldn't mind doing it again.